Today, I will be talking about this very interesting movie that I saw last year, 2023. It's called The Breath of Life. I'll be breaking down some of the techniques that they use to shoot exterior scenes and make them look very natural. Almost like it was the sun that was doing everything. And I give kudos to the team that worked on it. So let's start with this scene. In this scene, you can see how they established where the sun is. So the sun is right here, and it's coming this way. So that's the first thing you need to decide when you're filming scenes like this, exterior scenes. Look at the sun, and it's best to film when the sun is low. So let's say the sun is here and it's pouring down on people. There's a very good chance that when you jump into the close-ups, you're going to see shadows and raccoon eyes because the sun is coming down this way, so it's going to cast the shadow down under your eyes. So I'm sure they shot this establishing shot, which is the wide shot that shows the sense of where the sun is, the direction of the sun and where it is positioned in the frame. They probably shot this when the sun was going down. This is sunset, and it's just a very smart time to film something like that. So the sun is right here right now. So we've established that the sun is coming from the right of the frame and pouring on our actors. Now, let's move on to the close-up and see how they made this work out. So we had the sun here before. We had the sun on this side, and it was pouring this way. So as you expect, there's sun here at the back of our neck. So it's basically backlighting now, which is always nice. It also creates this very nice rim around our hair. So the sun is giving us this backlight. Sorry guys, my drawing is horrible. That's giving us this backlight and making her look, angelic and very innocent. And then the same light is working for his face here. The light is lighting him up here, giving him that nice rim on his face. And every other thing that we're seeing is in the shadows. One technique I always put in my cinematography is I like to film on the dark side of the character's face because that's where you get the best, the depth on someone's face. So when you film people backlit, the technique is to basically have the sun here. This is your sun. Sun goes this way, right? So let's say that's the sun. We have our characters here. And then let's say this is the person we are filming, right? This is this person's leg. Oh my days, terrible. And then we have the camera here pointing at the person. So the camera is filming them this way. So it's basically a sandwich, which is basically you have the sun hitting the person from here, then they cast a shadow on this side of their face, and then that's where you put your camera to capture the person. And that creates the depth that you really love, and that creates these images that look very cinematic. Now that's what they did here. So the sun is coming this way, giving her a backlight, then also coming to his face. And don't forget from the first shot we did that we showed, the establishment shot, that already showed you the placement of where the sun is in relation to our character. So it makes sense for you to see that when you come to your close-up, right? Now let's move on and see how this carries on across the scene. Even though right now the levels are crazier, so if you look at the back of her neck, it's almost overexposed. This might also be because of how my system is interpreting this. I'm sure on Prime Video, the original file might not be this overexposed. So that's just a disclaimer. But right now it's obvious that the levels, even if it's not this overexposed, the levels on the back of her neck here, it's way different from the level when you move back here. It's milder here. The sun probably got brighter in quotes, and I'm saying that in quotes because I will explain how they augmented the sun. So this is still the same thing. We're still shooting on the dark side of the face. We still have, if you look at this side is very bright. You can see highlights on his lips. You can see some on his shirt. And then this entire side is right there in darkness. And then if you look at this part, you can also see that there's some levels kicking here, and I will talk about this in a minute. So this just shows something that they call a checkerboard effect, where you have transitioning from light, dark. It just helps to create a better image that looks visually appealing. So when we look at our own over the shoulder now, we can still see that it's consistent to a good level. You can still see that the light is hitting her from the back. You can still see it at the back of our shoulders. There's more now on this side, which I will talk about in a second. There's some light here on this side now, And in a way now, there's some lights here on our hands. Ideally, if not that they cheated, and which is normal in filmmaking, we all cheat to make things look good. Ideally, there should not be sun coming here because the sun has been established to be coming from the side of the frame. So what that meant is, because if you look at it very well, there's one direction that we've established from the beginning of the frame. So right now, when we look at this side, we can see that the sun miraculously has moved to this side of the frame. Your eyes can adjust to it because consistently we're still filming on the dark side of the face. If for any reason the camera jumped to this other side and started filming her from this side, then that becomes a problem because now it feels like something is wrong. We're supposed to be looking at her from the dark side, now we're seeing the bright side. So that's basically how you can make a scene look really good even when you're filming outside. There's something I noticed that I think was could have been fixed in post, and that's this. You know, if you look at the shot here, look at the contrast on that, and then we go to the shot here, it just looks a bit different from each other in terms of the color of what she's wearing and here. So it looks brighter here, it looks more saturated. Here, everything looks a bit, murkier and duller. So let's see if we can fix that quickly because we like to fix things. So what would have been done here in post is to, again, I'm using Final Cut. I don't really use Final Cut to color grade, but it's faster for this kind of tutorial. So what I would have done in a way is to increase the contrast because you can tell that the contrast is different on those shots and also saturated. So one other reason, the reason why I'm doing contrast first before saturation is because from experience, when you add contrast to a shot, it also saturates the footage. Instead of me cranking up the saturation knob to match the contrast and the saturation of these shots that we saw before, ideally I will go to the contrast knob and fix contrast first. Then if I need more saturation, then I'll add to it to complement. So this is the shot and this is the shot. So you see, just with contrast, we've been able to bring it closer. It's not a one-to-one match. So now I can go and just give you a little bit of saturation now, just to try to blend it, push some in the midtones, push a little bit in the highlights, and then let's compare what the shot looks like here and here now. Way closer. Maybe a bit too still underexposed, but let's push it up a bit. Too much. Again, I'm just working with footage that has been compressed, so it's not going to be like 100% match. I'm just trying to show you what could have been done in post to really make that, because when you're filming at the time changes, the weather changes, everything outside changes, you're not in controlled lighting environment, so that is bound to happen any day, anytime. Could have been matched a bit better in post, but that doesn't take anything from the film. I think these are the things that sometimes just happens. So that's this and this is this. It's closer now. This is the one that was filmed earlier, shown earlier, and this is the one I balanced now. So if I remove the color correction now, you can see what was there initially, and you can see the difference, what I was able to do with contrast and a little bit of saturation. So let's move on, and I'll show you some other things that happened in this scene. You can see again that they decided to show us the source of light again, just so we can orient ourselves to understand that this is where the light is coming from, and it's almost putting our character in a silhouette because of course the sun is the brightest part of this scene. So they exposed for the sun and the clouds, they exposed for the sky, so everything here was probably balanced properly. Is that this was done or it was replaced in post? If you look at the sky here, right? The sky here and the sky and the beautiful sky that we're seeing in the beginning of the shot, it's day and night. Like, come on, this looks perfect. This looks like picture perfect. So I have a strong feeling that this sky was replaced in post, which is very possible. So you can do this in edits when you're filming on the day where the sky is not very great. Maybe you're filming on the day and the sky is very white, which is very normal in very hot areas like this in Nigeria. So there's a good chance that it was filmed that way anyways. Then you just pull up a key and you basically remove everything here and put your own sky, which is perfect. And because they already knew that they were going to like be lighting from the right anyway, so this is what decided that this was going to be the source of light. So it's just to find the sky and make sure your sun is on the right side. If you guys were on set and you knew what happened, or if the DP is gracious enough to let us know how this happened, or if I'm able to get the grab of him and to answer some of these questions that are in my mind about how they lit this scene, then I will let you guys know in another video. So I feel like on location, the sun was naturally on this side, and they just kind of turned the camera to still make sure that they established the dark side. It's a bit of a continuity of light continuity jumping. That's what I think. I was able to grab some pictures from the behind the scenes to show you guys how they lit this scene. Now you'll be thinking that this was the sun doing all the magic here, and the sun was the one that was lighting them and giving them this beautiful glow. It's very possible on a normal day you can use the sun, but most of the time when you're shooting things like this, you don't want to rely on the sun because the sun can move and leave you hanging easily. So they got some help. They had 2 lights on set that they used to augment, the sun, to create their own sun. So if you look at these BTS photos, you can easily see these guys standing here. These 2 guys, these guys are the guys that made it happen. So these guys were basically pouring towards this direction. And if you notice, this is the car. Our characters were standing here in the shoots. Our characters were here, and they had the lights backlighting them. So this was basically them augmenting for the sun. And like I said, I was right. The sun naturally from the scene, the natural sun available on that day was coming from the left side. And that is it right here. If you look at this side, look at her. There's no light doing this, I believe. Or maybe there are lights that they put here, but I want to believe this is the sun naturally casting on this lady, casting on this guy, casting on this side of the face. There are no lights there because you can see the sun also here. And you can see the sun on the camera, So they had the sun coming from this angle, but the shot they wanted to make it backlit. So they put their light on this side and prioritized this for the main look. And also when they were doing the master shot, which is the general shot, the wide one, they prioritized having the sun on the right side. This is a beautiful frame, and it is something that I think everyone can learn from. Dark side shooting, sun coming from here, backlight, hair glowing, everything is fine, well composed in the middle. This can be a poster any day, anytime. Again, this confirms the fact that the light was coming from here on the right side. The natural sun was coming from here because you can see clearly this was probably when they were filming that shots, this one. You can see the sun right there coming from this side. Now you will wonder what is this thing. If you're new to filmmaking, you will wonder why they have this canopy in quotes right here. So this is something that was very well done on this film. The exterior scenes were soft, there was no harsh shadows. They lit them softly, and this was done just because they have this, I'll call it a canopy, but it's basically they have different names, that diffusers, some people call it butterflies, but think of a canopy that you can, or think of an umbrella, yes, a white umbrella that you can put up to cut off the sun, but not to cut it off totally. It's basically to soften the sun. So think about it. When you put your lights and you put like a white sheet of paper or a white cloth in front of it, the light passes through that and then it becomes softer. Let's say this is the sun or your source of light. This is the light on the light stand. This looks like a person, but let me give it like something to make it look like a light. Yeah, that looks like a light now. So you put this, then you put a big white cloth in front of it, right? Probably on a stand. The light shines through that, and the light that comes out becomes way softer. Because they were filming outside and the sun was obviously crazy on the day because the sun was very hot, they put this up there, not for the actors not to sweat, that's not the purpose, but that helps the entire light that falls on them. It makes the light soft and you don't see any shadows. If they remove this guy from the shot, what you will see underneath their faces here would have been shadows. Let me draw shadows here and see. You'd have seen shadows here. If they remove those things, you'd have seen a very nasty shadow under the neck. And that's it, guys. That's my cinematography and lighting breakdown on Breath of Life. This film is a masterclass in terms of storytelling, in terms of scripts, character development, a lot of other things like production design, but most importantly, cinematography and lighting. If you like this video, please share with somebody that might find it very helpful. Subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.